Hey guys, this week we're switching it up a little bit and doing an interview. I'm here with Jim Costa, and he has been doing video for the past 31 years. And so I thought that this could be a very interesting conversation to have between us of how he's seen video evolving throughout these different years and what's currently working with his customer base. He also has a YouTube channel, which I'll link to in the description below, all teaching senior citizens how to use technology, and he also teaches them video production. So there's a lot of overlap in what we do. So we're going to be really diving into that now. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm Amanda Horvath, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs leverage the power of video without breaking the bank or taking up tons of their time. So if you're looking to use video in your strategy this year, then be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. So just to start off, let's kick it off with your relationship with this ad agency that you work with. Kind of explain how that relationship works and then what you're kind of recognizing in terms of what they are hiring you to do.
One of my clients is an ad agency, as you mentioned, and they hire me specifically to produce either their television commercials or their radio spots. And one of the things that has evolved from that is also to produce any sort of online social media ads, usually video ads, but it could be stills as well from time to time.
When they hire you, what does that look like? Like they come to you, they say, okay, we have this client, they are X, Y, and Z, and they need X, Y, and Z. Give us a couple examples of what that might look like.
Sure. Well, one of the clients they have, for example, is a seafood restaurant. And they do, I'm very happy for this, they do an ad every single month. Do at least one television commercial and one radio spot. And as the producer, my job is to set up everything for that commercial. And then it involves going into the restaurant. We have to go when it's not open. And the cooking staff is there and they prepare the meals. That are whatever's a special. Let's say it's lobster month or it's crab month or whatever is going on, shrimp month. And we prepare the food, and then I have to take that and make sure we get the still photos and the commercial footage of that plate of food. And sometimes it involves actors. For example, we fill the restaurant up with actors who sit there all day, even though it's a 30-second spot, eating the same food over and over and over again. And there is a lot involved we get the commercial and we do the text or whatever. And sometimes there's a voiceover. So I bring that in studio. I have a sound recording studio in my office where we work. And we have voiceover artists who come in and talk about it's, Shrimp Fest. And for $9.95 the lunch specials or whatever the cost is. And I work in conjunction, once we have all the footage, with the graphics department, because they also produce flyers that go out like with the Sunday paper. That's one of the inserts of the million ads that you get on Sunday. And we always match the graphics of the commercial with the print. Mm. And so I will pull out, we use Photoshop, or we'll pull out all the graphics we need so that the TV commercial matches. And a lot of them also, when they want online, like say social media ads, we match those as well. The social media ads work a little bit different than, for example, the TV commercials, because TV time is terribly expensive, right, compared to any other form of advertising. But still, everything matches. They have branding, they have their logo, everything's going to match. We are very careful and very specific that whether it's a Facebook ad or a Pinterest post page or an Instagram photo, the photo that's used in Instagram is one that is also used on the print. And the text of the print, whatever it may be, maybe the crab special with the price or something, is the same as you're going to see on the commercial, and it's the same as the Instagram ad. So that it's all integrated together, so that no matter where you find the company and they see their spot, whether it's always going to be the same, and it'll stick in your mind.
That makes sense.
It's all the same. Every month they have different ads, so it changes a little. The only thing that's really the same is their logo, the company logo, but that all stays the same. across all platforms.
So on that note, how do you feel that the 30-second, maybe give us a specific example of the last time that you did this. What was the 30-second spot for the TV commercial? What did that kind of look like? What was the story or like the actual content of that piece versus if you did a Instagram or Facebook ad version of that same video, how did that look different?
Sure. Well, for one thing, the social media ads can, not always, but can be a little bit longer because...
Oh, interesting.
Yes, you would think maybe shorter. And the secret to the marketing online is you have about 3 seconds to catch someone's attention. As they're scrolling through their feed, if there's a video playing, you want that first shot or two to be the eye catcher to make them stay. But you have more time to say online what you want because you're not limited by time. In television or in radio spots, they are usually 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60. And the costs can be astronomically high depending upon what market you're in. For a big market like New York or LA, a 30-second spot might cost you, thousands of dollars. I mean, we've all heard the Super Bowl ads. They pay millions of dollars for like a 30-second spot. And it goes up every year. Why is that? Because there are so many eyeballs, literally billions of people watching. So yes, it may cost you $5 million for a 30-second spot during the Super Bowl, but if 2 billion people worldwide are watching it, the cost per person is very tiny. So even though it's an outrageous amount of money that most people can't afford, except for big companies, it really is worth it because so many people are seeing, Coca-Cola or Budweiser or whoever the company is.
Yeah, which is what's so great about the online space is it allows people to have that same opportunity to create those ads, but not have to pay the exorbitant ad agency prices. Okay, so the story of the 30-second spot is that the waitress comes over, she throws down the food, it's sizzling hot or whatever it is, and then the difference with the Instagram or Facebook version, the online version, is that you're already seeing the sizzling hot food because it's the first 3 seconds, or what does that kind of literally look like on screen?
Oh, sure. Well, it's almost reversed from what you said.
Okay.
How I would describe it. When we create a TV spot, you have less time to tell your story. Even if it's 15 seconds, you have to jump right in.
Right.
So that first shot may not necessarily be the important shot, but it's usually, honestly, it depends on the client.
Right.
I mentioned the seafood restaurant just because they do a commercial every month. A lot of times the opening shot I might use is like an Alaskan fishing boat, or like it's crab season,
sense.
Right? Because it brings the story in and then you see the food. You know what I mean?
Right. So starting outside of the restaurant, building in that story to getting to the plate, to the experience of being in the restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
We might throw a shot in there at the end of someone eating or something like that. But having that on Facebook won't make any sense. You see a boat sailing by, especially when people oftentimes don't have sound, you don't get to the point. Whereas online, those ads, we might put the full lobster tail plate on there for this particular ad. Or another commercial company that I do spots, maybe not every month, but maybe every other month, is a mattress retailer. They sell all different brands of mattresses. So a lot of times we will show like something that's catchy for online, like 2 people in bed, right? Because sex sells, right?
Right.
But if you see something in bed, like, hey, what is this? People it won't fly on Facebook.
Factor.
Right. It's something that like you don't see every day. But the idea is to get you to stay instead of with your thumb and scrolling on down to what your friends posted from, last night or whatever.
Right.
So the first shot online is always the kicker. And another thing we do with those as well is we often, not always, it depends on the client, but we will often have subtitles on there so that because people listen without the sound.
Right.
So you don't hear the narrator, even though we put sound on them.
Right.
But once you have them on there, that first few seconds of shot, because you're not paying by the second or by the minute like on television or radio, you can actually have a little bit more in-depth story. We rarely go over a minute because of people's attention spans. And Instagram, for example, you can put video, but the limit is 60 seconds, a minute. So we may make them longer, like a TV commercial for the mattress company is 15 seconds. It might be 30 or 45
for the
online, but you can show more online. You can really have some beautiful, like, flowy shots, using the camera moving over the furniture and stuff that you wouldn't have time on TV, just because it takes a lot of crew and a lot of time to even get that shot. Even if you use a gimbal, it still takes time, but you have more time to really show it online because you're not paying by the minute or by the second.
Yeah.
And you have people will stay and watch, and you can really tell more of a story.
Totally.
To get their, to get people interested. Oh, they have like 5 brands of mattresses, and they have, memory foam, that I can do things you could never do on TV because it just isn't time. You just want eyeballs to get interested and get in the store.
That makes sense. Yeah. So when you are producing those spots, what aspect ratio are you usually exporting for Instagram? Is it?
Well, when I do that, I always shoot in like either high def or 4K. Everything is shot
like
natively.
16 by 9?
Yeah, it's 16 by 9.
Okay.
But when editing, we export multiple versions depending upon
the platform. Yeah.
So like social media usually is going to be square because that's how it is.
Yeah.
But for TV or even YouTube, it would be 16 by 9.
Right.
So it just depends on where they want it.
Totally. Have people started hiring you for Instagram story ads yet? Like vertical video? I'm curious.
The answer is no.
Okay.
And part of the reason is I don't think too many people know about it because it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
And also part of the reason is I think that, and for me personally, everyone shoots that way because they hold their phone that way, but you're in video production just like I am, and that's wrong.
Right.
So I generally, even when I'm shooting, even if it's my kids at home, I turn the camera sideways because I know that's how it's supposed to look.
Right.
I don't shoot vertically because I hate the either black space on the side or how they blow it up and it's like fuzzy out of focus to fit. I think personally it doesn't look as professional. It's maybe good for a personal video on your page or your feed or whatever, but I think for commercials, it's probably, you might see more of that because people are used to that.
Yeah.
But generally, I would always tell people that we're just going to do it normally.
Right.
Because I have to do that anyway.
And all this, like you've had 31 years to develop the 16 by 9 frame, right?
Yes.
And it's difficult to learn how to shoot vertical.
Well, that's true. But also I couldn't, if I shoot it in 16 by 9, I can have it exported to multiple formats.
Right.
Whereas if I shoot it vertically, I can't use it on TV. So then all of a sudden it increases their production value, and I need more crew, and I need more shooting days, and I need more time editing, and I need more actors and all this other stuff. So it's not so much, if I was just doing online for like a small company, they might be more accurate and they may be more interested in going that.
Right.
But because I have to think in terms of, I have all these other things I have to do.
Right.
I really need to know what's going to work the fastest and the cheapest and for the most things.
Yeah.
If I do vertical, I'm stuck. If I do horizontal, I can do it in many different ways.
That's a really good point. And I think that's something definitely to consider when I talk about this a lot. Like, companies often think, oh, I'm going to shoot this one video and we're going to pay all of this amount of money just for this one video, like a brand video, for example. Yet that one video can be repurposed into several if you shoot it properly, right? So like if you're shooting B-roll for a yoga studio, you might shoot an interview for the brand video as well as the B-roll, and you might shoot, someone rolling out their mat, starting or putting down their water bottle, starting their flow, moving through that whole story, other people in the room, what's happening, showing all that. Those can sequentially be cut together in a different way so that it's more than just one video. And I think the vertical, that does completely make sense that the only time that you can't repurpose is with that vertical video.
That's true. And that's true for what you said for many of the commercials I have. And I'll give you some examples. I mentioned the mattress retailer. They sometimes have actors come in and do a line or two, and we have several. Or sometimes like the store owner will do it because he wants to have that personal branding.
Right.
You know, it's not always him, but you know that when you talk to him, you'll see him in the store behind the counter. But the shots of the mattresses that they sell and the brands that they sell and the pillows and the sheets and the other accessories, I could use those indefinitely, as long as they still sell that brand and that make and that model of whatever mattress it is.
Right.
We can do it. Now that doesn't work with the food because they changed the specials. I mentioned the seafood restaurant, but I can tell you, I've been using some of the same footage for 10 years.
Wow.
And what it is, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. I mentioned like sometimes I use stock footage, like I'm not going to go to Alaska to shoot a fishing boat.
Right.
But we went to Astoria, Oregon. The company's based in Oregon, but they're all over like Washington and Northern California and stuff. And we rented a fishing boat and we had them sail into the dock and we got shots of the dock and then we had them like unloading crabs. And then we had the fishermen like hauling them on their shoulder, and we set up like a little fish market. And that same footage, literally for 10 years, it's been used. We shot like 100 shots. And it was a huge budget. It was like $100,000 budget for this one day of shooting. But that footage is so generic that, you could use it all the time. A shot of them unloading a big thing of fish, like you see on these TV shows where they're fishing shows. It could be anyone, like no one knows. And so they didn't mind spending it because they got their money's worth over the years. I mean, it's been probably 10 years that we've used it, and it was $100,000 once, but it's only $10,000 a year. And so what if it's a fish market and you're panning over it and all this? Fish is fish,
So this brings up another really interesting point. Oftentimes what I struggle with business owners is saying, hey, you need to collect your footage. Like, yes, I'm the one that you're hiring to shoot this footage, but how do you organize it so that moving forward you can continue using it? Do you have any tips for that?
Sure. Well, I'm anal. I mean, sorry.
Most video people are.
Yeah, well, you have to be. You have to have attention to detail, right?
Absolutely.
So I mean that like sincerely. Like I organize everything. I'm like super ultra organized, almost to the point of obsessive compulsive. But even with my files, so I store everything like in two locations. Store it in the cloud, and I store it in an external drive for each client. And
what cloud do you use?
I have a bunch.
Like Google Drive?
Well, I have a Google Drive. I actually have several. I use Dropbox the most.
Okay.
I have an unlimited Dropbox account.
Okay.
Because it worked out to be cheaper and anybody could do it. They're fine with me. It just so happens that I probably have like 20 terabytes of data stored.
I believe it. I have so much in the closet right
video
there.
files are gigantic,
They're huge.
But I have everything. I'm very super anal about labeling everything. And I mean like super anal. Like I have like the footage is, fishing pier and fishermen and then, unloading. Like I have all the shots labeled because as you know, when you shoot video, there's no name. It's just like random numbers.
And so you're organizing those files within are you on a Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Okay, so in Finder, before you even drag them into your editing software, you're actually organizing those folders.
Every last one.
Wow.
And even if I don't put the exact name of every file, I organize them to the point where I have all my fishermen, all my files of fishermen there, or all of my
in like a folder.
Like another one called actually I have a naming convention that I use.
Yeah, I'm curious.
It's always the same. It's the date, year, month, and day of the shoot. I usually go by the shoot. Or the edit day if I'm just editing. Year, month, and day, the name of the client, the name of the spot, and then sub-folder names. So what do I mean? So like let's say it's I shoot something on New Year's Eve. So it would be 2018-12-31, the name of the client, Amanda Horvath. the name of the project, collaboration
And this
video.
is all one folder, or are these different, like?
Oh, it's a master folder, then with
master
subfolder.
folder. Okay.
And then subfolders. So,
Yeah.
and then I would say Amanda Horvath, and then say collaboration video. And then within that, I have exactly the same, but I'll put raw footage.
Yeah.
Or I'll put images, or I'll put graphics. And then within that, it might be like Photoshop files or PNG files or whatever.
Totally. I do this.
You know, and it's super organized from minute one. Like literally, whether I'm editing in Final Cut or I'm editing in Premiere, I have it organized from before I even import it.
That's interesting, because for me, I choose selects after I've already imported the footage, and I organize everything within Premiere. But that can be kind of complicated, because if later, say, an editing software changes, Premiere updates all the time, which Premiere is the software editing software that I personally use. Now it's harder to go back into that project file and find it. So I know we're getting on a rabbit hole here, but
that's all right. Well,
yeah,
I do that because I do it for the very reason that you said. When I first started using Premiere, the difference, you've used Final Cut, you mentioned, and I previously, and I have. Final Cut Pro imports everything into it. So it's like having a double file. It's like you have your raw footage and then the project folder with everything. It duplicates it.
Oh.
So it brings everything into it. So as long as you have the Final Cut project file, you have everything. Premiere does not do that. Premiere only references the external files. So if you have them organized before you even import them, and you have that master folder name and then the subfolders and all that, it will know to go to that folder and to that and find that file. Even if you move it to the cloud or to the hard drive, you can still find it. Adobe Premiere will find it later because it's referencing. It's like a text file,
right? Exactly,
where it references it. But if you move it or you change the file name, it's lost, and you get.
And something to consider there too is if you are asking an editor to go back into old footage and use these, this footage that you might have shot a while ago, you need to know that they're going to need to do this. Even no matter how organized you are, it will take time to go through, reconnect the media, link the media, which is essentially what he's talking about, is when it pops up and says these are the files that are missing, you have to go reconnect those files, even if they're on the hard drive. So anyway, I know it's a lot, but I really, really do think it's super important for businesses to get their footage from the freelancers and collect it on one drive and try to get it as organized as possible. And it might even be worth paying someone to actually go through and really making sure it's organized.
Well, I do what you just said.
Yeah.
But I give it to them in this already organized format, in part so they have it, like you mentioned.
Same, I do the same.
But also so that if they call me back in 6 months and say, we want to do the same thing, but we changed the price from $9.95 to $12.95, all I got to do is change the price.
Right.
So I have everything. So they have it all organized, and I save time because time is money.
Totally.
If I have to redo an entire commercial, we're talking about thousands of dollars. If I have to change a few graphics, I could get it done in an hour.
Right.
And they have it, and they're happy, and I can still charge more money and still make more.
Right.
And I also, actually, I do, unless it's proprietary and they refuse, I usually keep a copy too for myself.
Yeah.
So that I don't even have to go to the clients.
To get it.
Because
but then you do afterwards, because then they need the updated file.
Well, yes, I will give it to them, but I will usually save a copy myself, because I'm just going to assume that no one really knows how to do that, or they're going to stick their hard drive somewhere and they're going to spill coffee on it.
No, it's very true. It's very true.
So I will provide it. Of course, you're hiring me. It's your footage, but I usually keep it. That's why I have an unlimited storage. I have a client that the video I did in 1999 call me just last month and say, hey, we have your footage, and I was doing on tape back then. Yeah, believe it or not, they weren't even having DVDs. A DVD burning machine was like $150,000 in 1999. Yeah, I don't even do those anymore. But they call me and said, we want to get it transferred, but it says it has copyright material on there. So they said, we still have the tape. Can you sign the release? And I said, as a matter of fact, I still have the footage. So I was able to take the original file. So you didn't have to
incredible. Most people will not be like him. I will tell you that now.
Yeah, well, because that's why I had 20 terabytes of data online.
And it took him 31 years to figure it all out. Yeah. I'm very anal and organized, and it still is quite the challenge. Okay, so I want to get us back. I'm curious, so for my audience that is business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they might not have a massive budget to spend on video. What do you recommend as kind of the starting point of
how to get into
how to really get into video?
I think the least expensive way to get started, especially if you're a small business, because you're a small business, I'm a small business, cash flow is our number one problem, always has been, probably always will be, is to start by doing online video, because it's much cheaper overall than getting into broadcast like cable or.
But what do you think specifically within online video? So if they already know online, then what?
Well, I would say that I would probably start with Facebook ads, if you have a budget to start. If you want to do it for free and get your name out there, put it on YouTube, because YouTube won't cost you any money. You can still promote your YouTube channel, like if you have a business Facebook page or tweet it or whatever you want to do, and that doesn't cost any money for storage. But I think for paid ads, let's say, and it doesn't take a very large budget, I would start with Facebook ads, because so many people are on Facebook. I don't know, what, 5 billion people worldwide or something. I mean, you literally have access, depending upon your budget and what you set up your ad campaign as, for anyone you want. And you can be so targeted and so specific as to the people who see that you get I think you can get a good return on your investment if you set up the campaign the proper way.
Totally. How would you recommend a business that is just getting into this? How could they find someone that they could trust to set up that campaign?
Sure. Well, that's a good question, actually, because there are a lot of people who say they can do it, and I would disagree with that logic.
Absolutely.
One of the mistakes people make, whether it's a company or even their own business doing it, is boosting a post. It might get your name out there to more people, but it's not going to get you customers. And you're spending advertising dollars to get customers. The way you find a person to do it is, and how I found out, in fact, how I even started this, because I didn't know anything about it when it started, like social media. I saw a company that was advertising on Facebook years ago. I've had a Facebook page probably 10 years now, or I don't know, something like that. But anyway, I saw a company that was advertising, and I actually called a company and asked, who did this? How did you do this? I'm interested in learning this. And the guy was very nice. I talked to the owner, and he said, well, no, we have this company did it. And it turned out to be an ad agency. And guess who went in and talked to them, and now they're my client, the same ad agency.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a tip for any videographers that watch the channel as well.
That's true, yes. We met, as you mentioned, on a Facebook marketing group for business owners. And if it weren't for that, if we weren't both members, literally we'd not be sitting here.
Right.
So
we met this morning.
Yeah, in person, but online we met before.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Which is the way things go these days. But
yeah.
I'm always out there, giving people my card or putting my name or whatever it is, and I'm asking. I'll be honest. I'm not afraid to ask for help, because the one thing I know more than anything else is I don't know everything, and I learned social media marketing, just like I learned video, just like I learned how to read, when I was a kid, or how to walk. When I was a baby, I crawled and then I walked. You learn, right? You just have to take the time to find out these things.
Right.
And so I asked someone way back when who they used and how did it work. And that was even much simpler back then. Campaigns were really more like having a Facebook business page and sticking pictures on there. Years ago, Facebook wasn't into video like they are now. But I learned and grew, and as they changed, I changed. I will, honestly, if I don't know how to do something, I'll go on YouTube and learn. People are paying me now to do their campaigns, and they expect a return on their investment. So the market is always changing, the demographics are always changing, Facebook is always changing. Every time I turn around, they got something new, or they change this, or they change their algorithm, or rather. So you have to stay on top of it. I don't want to say daily, but at least weekly.
You absolutely do.
To keep up, so that people, when they give you money to spend on their campaign, they get people in. That's what they want. You spend money on advertising because you want a customer. You want people to come in and spend their money.
Right.
And you could spend all the money in the world on a TV commercial or a Facebook ad or whatever it is. If no one comes in, you might as well, throw it out the window.
Burn the money. So that brings up an interesting point of where we can wrap the video is, You've been in this industry for 31 years. You've seen so much change occur. Where do you really see things moving forward? What's going to happen in the future of video?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's going to be everywhere. And I mean like more everywhere than it is already everywhere. I think it's going to be fun, for one thing. Think about it. I live in the Pacific Northwest. I came here on a plane, and it's like a 4-hour flight or something. And I spent the whole time watching 2 movies on my iPad, and there was a time not so long ago when I was just stuck in the middle seat reading a book, I mean, I'll still read books, but believe it or not, when I was your age, that was unimaginable.
Right.
It really is. I think that video, or in technology in general, especially when it comes to marketing and advertising, is going to become even more targeted. And I mean targeted down to you specifically. Mm-hmm. We see that trend happening a little bit. If your computer accepts cookies, and let's say you're online shopping for whatever clothes or whatever you need, you're going to start seeing ads. Like I have a Hotmail account for my family. I see ads on the side that ironically are the ads of things that I was looking at online, right? But I think that's going to become even more the case. The more data that we have online, the more targeted it can be. It can literally be person specific.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to sound dystopian or whatever, but I actually think that ads could be going that direction. We sort of are heading that way, but even more so. And I mean to the point where it's literally for you. Like there is a customized ad, because AI could do that. And it's literally, I might see the same ad, but it would be for me or for whatever you're interested, whatever your hobby is, or whatever groups you belong to on social media. And the more information we put out there, the more information companies will have, the more we'll know about us. And to be honest, I don't mind getting advertising if I need something.
If it's relevant. I know, it's true. It's very true. It's like during Christmas time, I'll be scrolling and I'm like, I have 2 sisters and a mom. And so what they want is very similar to what I want. And so I'm just scrolling on my feed like, what should I buy them for Christmas? And it's like I don't have to do the shopping or the thinking anymore. It's just like, oh, This looks cool. I'll just get this.
Well, as I do, as crazy as it sounds, I think maybe that might already be happening in a way, because I lease my car, and just about 2 weeks ago I turned it in. And I got a new one because the 3-year lease was up. And all of a sudden in like my Facebook feed, I've started seeing ads for Toyota for the new cars. And I'm like, I didn't post anything that I was there, but
you're probably on their email list, and they probably
it's possible. It is possible, but I leased the car. So I don't need to see an ad for Toyota because I turned in my old and I got a new lease. So I was like, I'm not in the market for a car because I just got one.
Yeah.
But that wasn't happening before. And it just struck me. And in fact, that's kind of what I was thinking about, super targeted ads.
Right.
But I'm thinking even go a step further where it's at. But like maybe it was my geotag and my phone knew that, or like I may be in their list because I ordered one, but that to me is a wasted advertising.
No, you're right.
Because I am not going to buy another car for another 3 years,
Right.
So I had eyeballs on that, and they paid for that, and that they threw their money away.
Right.
Because I don't need,
Yeah, no, you're right. What do you think? We both have YouTube channels. We both are talking to different audiences, and the opportunity is so vast there. Amongst the different options that business owners could have in terms of video, what do you think is the one step that they could take this year that will set them up for success in the future years?
The answer probably is, if you haven't already, you need to start. Because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. And the businesses that are going to succeed in the future are going to embrace technology and use it to their advantage. And that doesn't mean do anything bad, or does it mean like take advantage of your customers. But if your customers are all on Facebook, and billions of people are, or on Instagram, there's like 1 billion people who are on Instagram. If you are not going where your customers are going, you will not have a business for them to go to in the future.
Right.
I hate to say it because I am an older guy, I'm Gen X. I I used to have a Yellow Pages ad. I don't anymore because people don't use the Yellow Pages, but I have an online directory ad that if you're searching, you can find it. Why? Because everyone Googles. You know, I moved because my customers are moving. It doesn't help me if no one's reading the phone book. You know,
Right.
I'm spending money for nothing. It's a waste. I have nothing against television ads, for example. That's how I make my living. But the audience is shrinking more and more and more, and it's becoming more and more fragmented. It has been for years, ever since the advent of cable channels started breaking up the big three. But even that is fragmenting now because there's so many options. And I think the most important advice I could give any business owner is, like I said, go where your customers are going. That doesn't mean abandon print ads if you do mailers, if you're a company that does that, or it doesn't mean don't advertise on the radio, for example, or TV or whatever you want. It means don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you only advertise on TV and you're a giant market, maybe you'll be fine. But if you want to reach more customers and new customers, you need to go where your customers are. They are online, which means that you should. Because if you're not, well, then I hate to say it, but you know, you are literally signing your own death warrant for your business.
Right. I have a video coming out really shortly about how to get started in video, and it kind of does talk about these things too, and it's just like baby steps along the way. So if that is something you're interested in, then definitely be sure to subscribe for when that video does drop. Otherwise, thank you so much for being a part of this. This is really awesome to chat with you and have your experience come through to the audience and to me as well. And
I was super happy to be here. I'm glad we were able to connect, and I'm happy that I could share, you know, some of my knowledge. I've been doing this for a long time. You know, young person like you is going to take over for me one day. I hope to retire. You know, I don't want to die sitting at my desk editing or behind my camera. I actually want to enjoy my retirement. So I have decades of knowledge to share, and I'm happy to be able to do that with you today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.